All right, let's dive into one of the most ambitious and frankly mind-bending stories in all of science fiction, Cixin Liu's Death's End. This is a story about the end of, well, everything, and the absolutely impossible choices people make when they're staring into the abyss. But to really get a handle on humanity's future, we actually have to start by looking way, way back in the past.
So picture this. It's 1453. We're in Constantinople, the very last piece of the once mighty Roman Empire, and it's surrounded. Every few hours, these gigantic cannons just hammer the city walls. Everyone inside knows it's over. Their entire world is literally on the verge of collapse.
Then, right into the middle of this desperation, walks a woman named Helena. She's a prostitute, and she claims she has magic. And you know what? She can prove it. She can walk through walls, pull things out of sealed rooms, impossible stuff. Her plan? Use this power to take out the enemy sultan. But at the very last second, it just vanishes. Her magic, it turns out, was just a fluke, a temporary cosmic glitch where our dimension brushed up against another one. And when that moment passed, so did the magic, and the city's last hope. Okay, so now let's jump forward a few hundred years. Humanity is facing its own end of the world, a threat so huge it's almost unimaginable. And that little story from the past, it sets up this terrifying question for all of us. What do you do when the very laws of reality start to break down, and your only shot at survival is a miracle that might never come? And that brings us right to what the book calls the crisis era. See, humanity knows the alien Trisoloran fleet is on its way, but they're still 400 years out. The real damage, the immediate damage, isn't physical, it's philosophical. It's an age of just complete despair because the invaders have already shattered our most fundamental beliefs about how the universe even works. And you really feel this through the eyes of a physicist named Yang Dong. She had this core belief. Yeah, human life can be ugly and messy, but the universe itself, the fundamental laws of physics, that was supposed to be perfect and beautiful. But the Trisolarians destroyed that idea. They proved that those laws aren't constant. They can be twisted, used as weapons. For everyone on Earth, it was like losing faith, not in a god, but in existence itself. The universe wasn't orderly, it was a chaotic, brutal mess. Physics as we knew it was dead. For Yang Dong, this crisis gets incredibly personal. She finds these hidden files and discovers that her own mother was the person who first sent the invitation for the aliens to come to Earth. So her faith in science is gone, her faith in her own family is gone, and it leaves her with this one absolutely terrifying question. If human life has so completely changed this one planet, how much has all life everywhere changed the entire universe? Is nature even natural anymore? So, while all of humanity is grappling with these massive cosmic horrors, the story suddenly zooms way, way in, down to a single, deeply personal tragedy. It's a reminder that even when the universe is falling apart, one person's story can still mean everything. Meet Yun Tianming. He's a loner, kind of socially awkward, always on the outside looking in. And now, on top of everything, he's dying of lung cancer. His own family basically sees him as a bad investment, a drain on their future inheritance. He is completely, utterly alone. And then, out of absolutely nowhere, something wild happens. An old college buddy, a guy named Hugh Wen, just shows up. And he tells Tianming that this random, off-the-cuff idea Tianming had in college for a new kind of drink, well, it made Hugh Wen a fortune. And as a thank you, he just hands him 3 million won. So what would you do? You're on death's door, and suddenly you have a pile of cash. The obvious answer is you fight, right? You try to buy a cure, you try to find some experimental treatment. But Tianming asks an expert who tells him the cold, hard truth. A physician can only cure diseases meant to be cured. There's no hope. He doesn't spend it on himself. Nope. Instead, he uses every last penny for one final, beautiful, and totally anonymous gesture. He buys a star. A whole star. For Cheng Jin, a woman he was in love with from afar back in college but never ever had the courage to even speak to. This is the epitaph he imagines for himself. It's just heartbreaking, right? It's a perfect summary of this quiet, lonely life defined by one grand secret act of love. His gift is given, he's ready to go. So he signs up for euthanasia. Okay, so while Tianming is planning his quiet exit, the rest of humanity is making some pretty grand and ruthless plans for survival. And this is where we finally meet Cheng Xing, the woman who has no idea she now owns a star. So, Cheng Xin, she's a brilliant aerospace engineer, and she's totally frustrated with how slowly things are moving. So she joins this new group, the Planetary Intelligence Agency, or PIA, and their mission is just unprecedented. They're not spying on other countries, they're trying to get intel on an alien fleet that's hundreds of light years away. And the very first question her new boss, a guy named Thomas Wade, asks her is this. Just a brutal, shocking question. It's a test. He needs to know if she has what it takes, if she can abandon old morals for the sake of survival. Because in this new world, traditional ethics are a luxury humanity just can't afford. All right, here we go. This is where these two completely separate storylines are about to collide in a huge way. Yoon Tianming has bought the star. He's said his silent goodbyes. And he walks into the euthanasia room. The whole process is so cold and methodical, designed to be absolutely foolproof. A computer asks him 5 separate times if he wants to terminate his life, and each time he has to pick a different random number to prove it. And as he's clicking through the prompts, he's just replaying his lonely life and his unspoken love for Cheng Xin. He presses the final button. And right then, in that final, silent moment, just as the lethal drugs are about to start flowing, bam! The door to the room is thrown open. A whole group of people rushes in. They're shouting. They yank the power cord from the machine. They pulled the needle right out of his arm. He's alive. But why? And who are these people? What comes next is, and I am not kidding, one of the most incredible reveals in the entire series. It connects this one man's personal tragedy to a massive global conspiracy. Because the person standing in that doorway is Cheng Xin. The woman he just gave a star to, the center of his lonely little universe, is right here in this clinical room of death. And her face is just soaked with tears. He thinks she's just there out of kindness, to stop him from making a mistake. But the truth? Oh, the truth is so much stranger. She looks right at him and says this. Tianming, did you know that the euthanasia law was passed specifically for you? And suddenly, everything just clicks into place. The strange news article he read, his doctor's weird behavior. This law wasn't designed for the sick and the suffering. It was a tool, a carefully crafted instrument designed for a very specific purpose and for a very specific person. And that leaves us with the ultimate cliffhanger. The PIA, this ruthless agency that Cheng Xin works for, has a plan so desperate, so audacious, that it required them to find the perfect candidate. Someone brilliant, someone terminally ill, and someone who is completely willing to die. So why him? What could one dying man possibly do that an entire planet's military could not?